Hello.
Hello.
You good? How's your day?
Good.
Awesome.
The power's out, but I got solar power.
Oh,
Yeah.
Power's out?
Power's out, but I wouldn't know because I've got 52 solar panels on my roof and 2 Tesla batteries, and I'm woohoo!
That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it, Dana.
gotta hack it somehow, right? But oh my lord, why? Is there no power? I don't get it. Hi everyone.
Say what?
Can everybody hear us fine?
Hello.
Hola, escuchan. ¿Tienen luz?
Yep, lots of people in the chat.
Good.
All right. Let's give it 2 more minutes. 6:05, right?
We're sharp here.
Listen, there's 51 people. Let me bring them
Yes.
over.
Yes.
I'm so excited about this talk.
Me too.
Tania is too. She was so nice. We're just rehearsing.
Like,
Okay, let me see if this is Sarah.
Hi.
I keep refusing you and sending you back because, you know, we're not ready for questions yet, but, well.
I registered someone yesterday.
So you're Eileen? What, is this your other name?
No, Eileen is she's somewhere around here. That's why I couldn't chat, because I chatted with her name.
Oh.
I was like, I can't chat. What's happening? Okay.
Too much. Well, you're here. You're here. Welcome
here.
back.
Welcome, Karen.
All right, guys. Well, I'm just in charge of the technical stuff here, and welcome to Teguru Talks. This, you know, one special night where we all meet and talk tech. I'm very excited about tonight. We have a great speaker. I'm going to really just, be here for logistics. So I'm going to hand it over to Dana to do the actual welcome, and then I'll be back right before the talk to explain a little bit how to navigate this hopping experience during the talk. So Dana?
So welcome to Tech Guru Talks. If this is your first time here, congratulations to you for finding out about this, right? For all the other people, you've already seen some very interesting people speaking about kind of what's the future of security and deep fakes, and we've had all kind of amazing talks already. Tonight is one that I've been looking forward to from the very beginning, and I'm not going to do the official introduction of Tania, but I met her in DC, and what the kind of stuff she's doing is amazing, and she kind of works at the crossroads of customer experience and human-centered design and software development. It's pretty amazing. And as a side, she's, as I understand, she's from Vieques, and she came home for vacation not that long ago, last year sometime. And what did she do on her vacation? She came down and she taught people in Vieques design thinking in order to help people ramp up business ideas. So I'm all for that. I'm going to turn it over to Sophia, who's kind of the person who kind of brought all this together, and she's going to introduce a little bit more about what we're doing and why this is.
Hello, hola a todos. Mi nombre es Sofía Stolberg. Para aquellos que no me conocen, soy una de las cofundadoras en Piloto 151. Esto es un poco Spanglish, en realidad, así es que vamos a estar entre ambos idiomas, pero quería presentarme oficialmente en español y también dejarles saber un poco de cómo empezó Tech Guru Talks. Tech Guru Talks es una iniciativa que realmente co-creamos con Evertech con la intención de crear un foro para que la comunidad de desarrolladores, tanto de Puerto Rico como de Latinoamérica, pudiesen tener un escenario donde hablar con expertos en diferentes áreas de tecnología y poder tener ese diálogo, ¿verdad? Obviamente, pues no estábamos pensando hacerlo virtualmente, pero aquí estamos y ha sido súper exitoso hasta la fecha. Este es nuestro cuarto Tech Guru Talk. Hay 6 en total en este año y el año que viene continuaremos la serie. Y la idea es esa, que podamos tener este foro y no solamente escuchar a los presentadores hablar, sino que también hacerles todo tipo de preguntas. Y para eso estamos aquí hoy. Así es que con eso, pues quiero agradecer a Seriously Creative por siempre ser aliado de Piloto y ser los super hosts que siempre son. Y además, muy especialmente a Evertech por hacer esta serie posible. Y con eso los dejo con Karen.
Saludos a todos, mi nombre es Karen, especialista de innovación en Evertech. Gracias a todos por unirse a esta sesión. Como dijo Sofía, estamos súper emocionados por esta serie y por poder tener este foro de interacción con la comunidad, con los empleados de Evertech de todos lados. Si te interesa el tema, pues un foro para poder participar, hacer networking, que sea virtual, que pues como dijo Dana y Sofía, simula un poquito la herramienta a un evento en vivo. Les voy a ir presentando a Tania, nuestra speaker de esta noche, y aquí lo voy a cambiar a inglés. Tania is a product strategist with in-depth knowledge and experience in human-centered design, data-driven decisions, and software development. She currently leads product development at a Fortune 500 company in the Washington, D.C. area. In her current role as product manager, she partners with cross-functional teams and manages a data-driven credit policy platform serving over 36 million customers and generating over 800 million in net present value. Prior to working in the corporate sector, Tania was co-founder and head of product at PoshPacker, where she transformed a 100-page business plan into a startup hotel booking platform with properties in 60 countries. Ahora, yo típicamente no leo esta sección, pero en este caso me estuvo súper interesante. Tania tiene un BA in Psychology from the University of Puerto Rico and an MBA in Design Strategy from CCA in San Francisco. When she's not brainstorming product solutions, she can be found doing yoga, sketching, or riding her bike con nombre Bala Azul. around the city. Sin más preámbulo, los dejo por aquí con Tania para esta noche.
Bienvenida, Tania. ¿Me escuchas bien?
Sí, muy bien. ¿Me escuchan?
Sí, creo que tengo un poquito de feedback. Ok, guys, gracias, Sofía. Gracias, Karen, Aileen. Me voy a quedar con esto. Gracias, Dana. Antes de comenzar, pues nuevamente, pues yo soy Angela Torres de University Creative y pues estamos colaborando con Piloto y con Evertech en hacer que estos eventos sean un poco más humanos y pues que se sienta más como un evento. Y por eso entonces estamos utilizando esta herramienta de... Puede que sea un poquito diferente para ustedes, pero para que sepan, ustedes están al control. Should I say this in English, maybe? ¿Qué tú crees, Sofía? English?
Maybe, just in case.
Okay. So just to be on the safe side, again, we're doing these events on Hopin. You are in control of what you see and how you participate. So first of all, we want you to use the chat and use it often. So the chat should be in sessions because we're in one session right now. So just go ahead and use the chat. Let me know that you're here just to be sure that you have it, that you know how to have it work. Say hi, fixed, working, awesome. Karen is back, Eileen is gone. How's everybody doing? Can everybody hear us fine? Awesome. All right, so that's the chat. Use the chat for insights, questions. We'll be monitoring the chat so that we can manage the Q&A at the end of the session. Another thing is if you notice on the top of the screen, you'll see that there's a small arrow that says, that's next to like a green light that says 57 right now. If you click on that arrow, what it will do is that it'll close the chat, but have you see the screen stretched so you can get more view. Another thing is that because this is a web-based platform, you can zoom into the screen if you'd like to do that, just like you zoom into any web page. Finally, if you want to see any of the screens, you see like right now you have like 5 screens open, you have like little, like in Zoom, you have a little, screens, the video share screens. You can select which one you want to see bigger by double clicking on it. So if you double click on that one square, it'll make it bigger for you. So again, thank you very much for being here with us. With that, I'm gonna leave Tania to it and ask Dana, Sofia, and everybody else to say bye-bye. And Tania, you're up. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, perfect.
Awesome. I'm going to be right here, but I'm going to turn myself off.
All right, perfect. Thanks so much for the introduction, everyone. I feel super special and gracias por la oportunidad. So, ya que lo vamos a hacer en Spanglish y espero que esta sección les sea de beneficio y que puedan aprender algo que puedan aplicar para sus compañías, para sus productos o quizás para su propia vida. Yo llevo 8 años trabajando en Product Management, empecé en UX, Business Innovation, luego hice PoshPacker y ahora llevo 4 años trabajando para Capital One. He trabajado en diferentes productos y en el momento estoy trabajando en una plataforma de Credit Policies y Data, lo cual es una área nueva para mí, estoy aprendiendo muchísimo. Y durante esta experiencia que he obtenido, una de las cosas que siempre me ha interesado es cómo realmente llevamos la visión de lo que queremos hacer a la realidad. Cómo creamos estrategias y cuál es el roadmap que realmente nos va a llevar a ejecutar. Muchas veces tenemos sueños y cosas que queremos hacer, pero llevarlos a la realidad es otra historia. Y para esto es importante tener este aspecto humano donde los humanos nos conectamos, nos alineamos, vamos en la misma dirección y todo lo que vamos a estar hablando hoy va a ser basado en ese concepto. So, para empezar, piensen en sus propios ecosistemas. What's your company vision? ¿La conocen? Por ejemplo, LinkedIn, la compañía de la visión es to create economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. Súper simple, bien clara. Cualquier persona que trabaje en la compañía puede entender, ok, esto es lo que queremos hacer, esta es la visión de la compañía. Y esto es bien importante para alinear a todas las personas que trabajan dentro de la compañía, a todos los humanos, los equipos que son formados por humanos, a irnos en una misma dirección y trabajar en conjunto. Ahora, hay una diferencia entre lo que es el company vision y lo que es el product vision. El company vision es para todos en la compañía. No importa si estás en marketing o en sales o finance, no importa en qué área de la compañía estés, esa es la visión. Ahora, cada persona dentro de la compañía que toca el producto necesita entender cuál es la visión de este producto en específico. Por ejemplo, hay compañías que son bien alineadas con sus productos, como lo es Facebook. Básicamente, Facebook es el producto. Ahora, dentro de Facebook, como la plataforma, tenemos otros productos como lo es Facebook Messenger, el Timeline, Facebook Marketplace, Instagram. Y todos estos son productos que en conjunto crean el producto, la plataforma de Facebook. Es importante que para que estos productos vayan, se creen en una misma dirección, que haya una visión de ese producto también. Y incluso cada producto puede tener su propia visión. Ahora, cada visión, vamos a imaginarnos que el producto 1 tiene una visión, pero esa visión tiene que estar alineada hacia el product vision, y el product vision también siempre tiene que estar alineado hacia el company vision. Ahora, ¿cómo cómo vamos del product vision al product strategy y luego al product roadmap? En mis años de experiencia he entendido que hay unos pasos adicionales que van del product vision al product strategy. Del product vision al product strategy tenemos ese aspecto de formación. Luego del product strategy al product roadmap, no simplemente creas el product strategy, pero también necesitas un aspecto de planeación que hay veces que se puede sentir un poco simple, pero es bien importante y vamos a hablar mucho sobre este tema. Y luego del roadmap de regreso al product vision, tenemos que asegurarnos que hay unas medidas bien claras. Y ahora lo que vamos a hacer es que nos vamos a empezar a adentrar en cada uno de estos pasos y ver cómo se va formando cada uno. En el product vision, aquí lo que tenemos es, básicamente el product vision es una visión del futuro. Todos esperamos que en el futuro va a ser un mejor mundo. Y ese mejor mundo, todos dentro de la compañía lo tenemos que ver. Y para que todos lo veamos, no puede ser complejo. Debe de ser simple para entender y tiene que ser embarcador. Ahora, lo más importante es que todos dentro de la compañía lo conocemos. Cuando nos movemos de esta visión, de este sueño que tenemos, a crear estrategias para llevarlo a cabo, este es el paso entre medio que les quería comentar sobre la formación. Cuando yo pienso en el forming stage, yo pienso en cross collaboration. Aquí tenemos una visión fantástico. Ahora, para poderlo formar, para poderlo hacer una realidad, tiene que haber un cross collaboration entre los equipos que van a ser partícipes de esto. Y cuando uno mira el cross collaboration, realmente lo que vamos a ver es que estos son los primeros pasos del design thinking process. Aquí vamos a mirar cómo vamos a empatizar con los usuarios, cómo vamos a definir el problema y cómo vamos a ideate solutions que realmente en este aspecto van a ser más strategy solutions. En el aspecto de empathize and define, específicamente en el de empathize, tenemos lo de que es data y también lo que tenemos es el aspecto humano. Para la data es importante colectar data y esta parte parece simple, pero es bien difícil colectar data que sea significativa y luego analizarla. Cuando pensamos en la visión del producto y cómo las tecnologías se van alineando hoy en día, es importante mencionar que Machine Learning es un aspecto importante de cómo nos vamos moviendo hacia el futuro. Y para el Machine Learning funcionar bien, necesitamos colectar data. Esta colección de data va mucho más allá de simplemente decir vamos a colectar data. Es algo que necesita pensamiento y que es muy importante para poder entender la experiencia que están teniendo los usuarios, cuál es realmente el sentimiento humano de nuestros customers sobre nuestros productos. Y luego, mientras vamos haciendo user research, es bien importante que tengamos insights de lo que estamos viendo, de lo que estamos haciendo investigación. Y A/B testing es obviamente una parte muy importante porque aquí podemos ver lo que funciona versus lo que no funciona. Y estos conceptos nos van a ayudar a definir cuál es el problema de las personas. Normalmente decimos cuál es el problema de los usuarios, pero realmente los usuarios son personas. ¿Cuál es el problema de los humanos que estamos intentando satisfacer con nuestros productos? Y luego esto nos lleva hacia qué es el strategic product approach. So, ¿cómo vamos how are we going to approach a product from a strategic standpoint? Y para esto, el forming stage nos va a ayudar. Antes de entrar a la estrategia, queremos estudiar no solamente no solamente queremos estudiar a los humanos y lo que ellos están haciendo y la data que estamos colectando, también queremos estudiar el mercado. ¿Qué está haciendo la competencia? ¿Qué productos tiene la competencia y cómo funcionan? Es importante que con esto empecemos a brainstorm y a ideate product solutions que deben ser basados en calidad, porque deben ser mejor o faster, pero también que sean en un aspecto de que puedan diferenciarse en el mercado. Y si estas cosas las vamos pensando desde antes de que entramos en la estrategia, esto nos va a ayudar a formar una estrategia más sólida. Aquí podemos identificar product opportunities y esta es la parte más importante. Si no haces esta, olvida todo lo que te he dicho. Necesitas un strong partnership entre lo que es design, tech, data and business. Y estoy segura que muchos de ustedes han visto los diagramas, pero en realidad esa es la base de crear productos que sean significativos y que realmente se vayan creando con un aspecto humano, pero también en la alineación de las diferentes destrezas que existen. So, en el forming stage, un ejemplo, por ejemplo, Amazon, el product vision is to be the most customer-centric company where customers can find and discover anything they might want to buy online. En el mundo. Y puedes comprar todo lo que quieras en línea. Esto es una visión grande, que se entiende, pero es bien embarcadora. Yo me puedo imaginar que en el forming stage de ellos, we're getting a deep understanding of what's going to be the optimal, the most delightful customer experience. ¿Por qué? Porque necesitaban que estos productos fueran easy to find, que existiera una gran variedad de estos y que el customer service fuese rápido y bien informativo para poder ganarle a la competencia. Y otra parte de la formación que ellos añadieron es lo del culture of innovation. Cada empleado puede crear productos sin tener miedo al fallo. Y esto es importante porque esto es un aspecto que le permite a los equipos crear y crear con un sentido de innovación. Ahora, obviamente, tenemos en muchas compañías grandes, tenemos el aspecto de risk management. Eso quiere decir, no es que no debes de hacer esto, sino que debes de tener un buen sistema de risk management que te ayude a moverte al espacio de innovación. Luego nos vamos moviendo hacia crear la estrategia. Ya formamos lo que nos va a ayudar a crearla. La estrategia va a ser el approach to realize the future state. Aquí es donde vamos a tomar el approach para la guía que nos va a llevar esa visión a una realidad. Aquí ya nos vamos acercando un poco más. Y una parte bien importante que no vamos a tocar muchísimo en esta presentación, pero que es importante para esto, es desarrollar Objective Key Results. Objective Key Results te va a ayudar a que las estrategias tengan metas específicas que sean measurable también. Y la parte más importante aquí es que en el Product Strategy, every team has to be aligned. Y para eso todos deben de tener el conocimiento de cuál es la estrategia y qué es lo que vamos a hacer para que luego las metas sean claras y también tengamos definición de cómo las vamos a measure. Cuando vamos moviéndonos desde Product Strategy a Product Roadmap, el stage de planear esto es bien importante. Ahora tenemos la estrategia, sabemos cuáles son las diferentes estrategias que vamos a utilizar para llevar a ejecución, para que podamos cumplir con la misión que teníamos. De todos modos, la planeación, así como ya había dicho, necesita, al igual que el Product Strategy, necesita estar bien alineado, porque ya mientras más nos vamos acercando hacia el roadmap, más alineación necesitamos. So, podemos mirar la visión como si fuese una V gigante. En la visión tienes un poco de gente, en el Product Strategy tienes más gente, en el Product Roadmap vas a tener incluso más personas que son más equipos que van a ser los que te van a llevar esto a la realidad. So, el planning stage es extremadamente importante. Y aquí nos vamos a enfocar en prototyping. So, En este stage, vamos a mirar cuáles son los objective results. We're going to set them. They're going to be the clear direction based on the components of the strategy. Y los vamos a evaluar en details with all teams. Everyone should know what the strategy is. Everyone already at the company should know what the product vision is, especially when they're touching the product. Y importante, que parece simple, pero we gotta engage in conversations y necesitamos motivar a los equipos, que otra vez son personas. Necesitamos motivarlos para que todos estén emocionados en trabajar en lo que vamos a hacer. Luego tenemos, as parte de planning, lo que es el execution strategy. Aquí es importante, do we have the right resources allocated and the teams? If we don't, maybe we need to change a little bit the strategy because we don't have everything we need to execute. Aquí tenemos que coordinar across teams y bien importante, necesitamos tener un plan que sea un full plan sobre las metas que queremos lograr y cada persona, cada equipo necesita tener un entendimiento de ese plan. ¿Por qué? Porque te van a ayudar, si ellos lo conocen, te van a ayudar a planearlo y así no te vas a perder de algunas partes que simplemente no sabes porque no tienes las destrezas de data o las de tech o las de design. No todos somos expertos en todo. Aquí es importante que empieces a identificar y a delegate the key responsibilities. Y importante, que esto más lo aprendí más dentro de compañías grandes, es creating un monitoring plan. So, cada equipo va a estar trabajando en diferentes milestones y esos milestones necesitan un monitoring porque si no, nunca vamos a saber cuando algo está fallando. Lo vamos a saber cuando los customers llaman enojados porque un feature no funcionaba. Y esto lo podemos evitar si lo planeamos desde antemano. Necesitamos tener una clara visión de lo que va a ser el prototipo o del producto que vamos a crear o del feature que vamos a crear. Tiene que ser claro, pero también tiene que ser compartido con todos. Y importante, en este aspecto necesitamos definir cómo vamos a prioritize. And you can prioritize based on learnings, con qué voy a aprender más, level of effort, cross teams timelines, different teams might have different timelines, and what's the business value. And these things are important on the planning stage to keep us aligned as we move into product road mapping. Just as an example of a product strategy, Uber, one of their product strategies was to decrease wait times in cities where it's over 10 minutes. So no querían que los customers esperaran más de 10 minutos por un Uber. Y para esto tengo algunos amigos dentro de Uber donde tengo un poco de información sobre cómo ellos van sobre su planning y parte importante para ellos es tener clear OKRs, pero más importante es el equipo. Cada equipo tiene un UX person, un data person, engineering team, product manager resourcing y es importante tener diferentes tipos de destrezas para ejecutar en tu product strategy. Luego, cuando llegamos al Product Roadmap, aquí es el approach de ejecución. ¿Cuál va a ser? ¿Cómo lo vamos a hacer? ¿Cuáles son las actividades que nos van a llevar allí? ¿Cuáles son las prioridades y cuáles son los milestones? ¿Y cuál es la guía que nos va a llevar a eso? Aquí, bien importante que ya tenemos bien establecido lo que es el team collaboration, porque van a haber diferentes teams. Por ejemplo, el roadmap que puse aquí abajo, tienes un team de design, de tech, de data operations. Roadmaps can look very different. Si haces un typing de roadmap en Google, vas a encontrar very different ones. Pero básicamente la situación es que si es algo que vas a hacer con diferentes teams, necesitas tener claro qué va a hacer cada equipo y cuándo. Y esa alineación es importante y necesitas dejar un poco que exista la colaboración entre estos equipos. Y esa colaboración debe de ser creada por nosotros. Alguien la tiene que hacer. Y luego que tenemos el roadmap, necesitamos asegurarnos que nos vamos hacia el aspecto de test. Y ese es el último step que tenemos en el Design Thinking Process. Y es importante aquí que colectemos, que compartimos test results. We gotta be very diligent about this. So, we're collecting data, we're collecting insights from A/B testing, compártelos. We should have monitoring already in place for this, and just to make sure that everything is gonna work properly. And then we gotta create a plan for how we're gonna share those results. And todos los que están estuvieron envueltos en lo que hicimos, necesitan ser parte de esto. Y luego, importante, esto es algo que hacemos mucho en el radio, lo que es el Teams Retro. Aquí queremos preguntar por feedback y aquí lo puedes hacer de diferentes maneras, directly to the team members, via surveys, etc. So we want to know what can we do better next time? Were everyone aligned? Did we actually accomplish our goal? Si sí, ¿por qué? Y si no, ¿por qué no? Pero la pregunta más importante es, did we make ourselves and our customers happy? Si hicimos todo lo que hicimos y los customers no están happy, tenemos que regresar y ver por qué. Si hicimos todo lo que hicimos y el equipo están todos molestos y todos van a renunciar, algo pasó. Necesitamos volver y mirar qué pasó y necesitamos crear ese feedback loop que nos va a ayudar a hacerlo mejor la próxima vez. So, aunque te parece lineal, realmente siempre regresa. So, puedes hacer measure después del roadmap, pero esto puedes regresar a la estrategia y le puedes decir, mira, estamos aquí viendo el monitoring plan o algo está fallando, necesitamos cambiar la estrategia. Siempre tenemos que tener este feedback loop para que todo el círculo empiece a funcionar bien. Aquí tenemos a Mark presentando el roadmap de Facebook. Como les dije, puede ser presentado de diferentes maneras. Él lo presentó más como que empezó Facebook, luego en 5 años han creado todos estos productos y luego en 10 años él lo ve más como que connectivity, AI, VR. Pero hay diferentes maneras de crear product roadmaps y el product roadmap no debe ser limitado Mark, el CEO, debe ser que lo crea. No, el CEO puede crear un roadmap, los diferentes equipos pueden crear roadmaps. Siempre que tengas equipos trabajando, deberías de tener un roadmap para que puedan alinear y puedan colaborar juntos. So, al final y al cabo, everyone who touches the product inside the organization is going to contribute to the success or the failure of your product vision, strategy, and roadmap. Y esto va a impactar a los customers y también va a impactar a nuestros business results. Y la manera en que podemos trabajar esto es, uno, siempre tenemos que tener un human-centered design approach a todos los pasos que hacemos, desde la visión, la estrategia, hasta cómo creamos los roadmaps. Pero también necesitamos asegurarnos que hay una buena comunicación entre los equipos, que estos equipos están alineados y que hay un sentido de colaboración. Es importante para saber que esto está funcionando es que tengamos un feedback loop para poder regresar y retroactively see that the things that we were trying to do were accomplished and that we are in the right path. Thank you.
That was awesome, right? I've been waiting all week, right? That was great. Gracias, Tania. So if people, really quickly, go put your comments on what you thought of this talk over there in the chat, and let's kick off a conversation, right? So I love your talk, and I love what you do. I remember you and I sitting at a Chinese restaurant in DC, you telling me about kind of like the trajectory of Capital One and being a product manager and all. I'd love for you to talk a little bit about Capital One is considered como en el mundo de bancos and finance como uno de the real leaders in human-centered design and applying agile. They're really innovative about their how and their why, right? ¿Puedes hablar un poco de la cultura? Like, how do you experience that as a product manager within the company? What is it like to work in an organization that has this kind of focus, is able to look at vision, strategy, roadmaps, a human-centric perspective?
Yeah, es una pregunta interesante y en Capital One la cultura es they really embrace innovation. They really want to make things better for the customers and for the associates that work there. So I'm pretty proud to work for them, and I feel like never before I thought that, oh, I'm gonna work for them. Of course, sign me in, never. Yeah. But really, this is but banking is important, and I think when you work inside of the company, you get to see like how important that is, and it is because there is a real sharing of like the information across. And I'm not saying that we're doing it perfectly. We're still in a transformation mode, but we are really trying to move in that direction the most we can. And I really appreciate the culture. Like, people are really accepting. Yeah, I really love working there. It's a very pleasant, and people are really nice. And I like that you're going to find all different type of leaders. You learn something new from each one of them. But at least I think that the CEOs having a clear direction in actually every year every year he has a new strategy, and if he makes sure that everyone is going on the same direction, that everyone get to see it, to hear him talking about it for like 7-8 hours. It's just very impressive. Plus, he's a very engaging presenter. So,
yeah.
Tremendo.
You know what? Why don't you talk about that a little bit? Because you were talking about como el visión de la compañía y también cómo es conectado a un visión de un producto, y como hay usualmente un direct link, una compañía que entiende su visión, especialmente un visión para un consumidor, you can usually tie your product strategies kind of back up to these core values, and you're telling us that your CEO talks about the strategy, where are we going, and all this work to align people. ¿Puedes hablar un poquito más de connecting people to vision, connecting people to strategy and purpose at Capital One, y aligning people?
Yeah. Well, the first thing is get everyone together and tell them what the vision is, and also get their feedback to help them shape that. I think he does a pretty good job at that, and the way he aligns everyone, he just really gets everyone together, and he just talks about it. And then there is we have like one vision that we all follow and that we are all aware of. And then I think that the most complicated thing is when you are working at a company with 50,000 people, even though you understand the bigger picture, when you're working on like I'm working on credit policies now, is something new to me. It's really complicated. It is not that easy. It sounds like everyone get it. Okay, cool. Everyone knows the vision. Okay, you have a strategy, good. It's not like that. Actually, you can be one of the like thousands of teams, and then you might have some strategies. What you need to make sure is that their strategies aligns back. And that's difficult to do, to be honest. Because then I need to make sure that my manager and the managers and the leadership, they all have their own, like they have clarity on what their strategies are. And if they don't, then it's difficult.
Yeah.
Right.
I have a question in the opposite direction, actually. What about, I loved your presentation, first of all, thank you. Bravo, that was amazing. And I remember when I met you, and you were still, you're a founder of a startup, right? A very different point in your life. So my question goes more to that stage. When you're in startup or you are just getting off the ground, it really is not that clearly defined either, right? You probably don't even have a product manager. So how do you make all of this work when you're very small, and many times the person doing product management is also developing the software and is also doing the sales and testing and a little bit of everything?
Yeah, it's difficult. Actually, I became a product manager because someone had to do it, because the developers were from Spain and I don't speak Spanish, so I was like, okay, I think I can manage the product. I understand design. Maybe I understand customer experience. I think I can do it. It's difficult. It is very difficult. But if you are a startup founder listening to this, I think the first thing you need to do is you need to get with your team. If you are like 5 people, perfect. Meet, get together, and discuss. Really, go back and ask, why are we doing this? Like, what's our vision? And then you have the opportunity in your hands to build it with your team, because you need that in order to have a direction. And if you are a startup founder, your goal is to grow. And in order to grow, you're going to have that vision for the next people that are going to come into the team. I actually didn't think much about the vision till I was starting to get investment, because then investors are like, so why are you doing this, and why are you better, and why are you this, and why are you that? And then it forced me to have a good answer, because I wanted to invest in my company. But also, I realized that was actually good for getting kind of like, as we were onboarding new developers, then we got a UX team. And in order to get that UX team working very fast, the key was that I knew exactly where we were going. So I started then with that, like, hey, we want to become this in the marketplace. And then I started dragging them down to like, and then we want to build a capability to do this. And then these are the specific features that we want to build. And because I was able to speak like that, they were like, I got it. Okay, do you have something you want to show us? And I was able to show them some sketches, and they were able to really quickly like turn into do something much better than I can do. Because I understand it, but that's not my specific skill. So that's what I would suggest, get together and start working together.
So we have some really good questions popping up in the chat.
I have a question first on the opposite direction of like Sophia's one. Yeah. So how do you think you would manage leadership that's kind of opposite of what Sophia says, that does a little bit more, it's a bit more numbers heavy than vision heavy? Like they'll see the vision, they respect it, they're like, yeah, for sure, but they're still, on that brink of how much is this going to cost, or what's this going to take?
Yeah. I think actually, because I started as a startup founder, I built up very quickly that of like, I'm going to talk to my VP and things like that. But I think the key with leadership is, as you say, you need to have the numbers. And if you don't have a way to get them, you need to make friends. Inside of a company, you got to make friends. And sometimes people are not part of your team, but maybe they want to learn something about product or something they don't know, and you can exchange. It's a different deal. It's just like, I think for me, what have been helpful is building relationship with people that have skills that I don't have, and also learn from them. And then try to build up a relationship with leadership and prove that, hey, you wanted to do this, and we want to do this. What do you think? And this is how much I think we think we project we're going to generate. But even though I didn't come up with those numbers, I just have to make sure that I have someone who can help me put that together. And anything, when it's a big company, always your product is going to touch some business teams, and they can always help you with that as well. So even though you are a product manager for a product, normally there are some customers inside of the company that have requests for your product. And then that's what I do. I mean, I'm sure everyone have their hacking style.
Is Dana freezing?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, it was just me.
Yeah,
Dana,
I think
we can't hear you.
So I'm going to take over. Antoine.
Yeah. Hi.
We have questions. And we
Can
want
everybody
to
hear me well?
Perfect.
Okay, cool. Tania, amazing presentation, loved it, and completely agree with you. As a product manager myself, I feel that constantly we have to be not only role models to people and to envision everything that we want to portray and we want to get through, but we also have to influence constantly into the minds of people. We have to get them on board and share with them their ideas and our own, so we can merge them into this whole new concept. I had 3 questions that I put out there. One of them, when you were beginning in the conversation, you stated that there is this kind of balance that you need to have between innovation strategy and the concept of product, like risk management, product, and strategy or innovation. I myself have encountered a lot of, let's say, roadblocks when it comes to the vision of the product, when it comes with terms of compliance. I come from the background of banking as well, and now I'm in a fintech. So normally the products that I develop are for banks as well, or into different financial institutions. So how have you tackled this aspect of not having to compromise your strategy or your vision when it comes to that aspect of risk management or when it comes to that aspect of compliance?
Yeah, that's it's so tough.
I know.
it's really painful. I mean, imagine you come from the startup world and you're the startup founder and you do whatever you want, and then you go into a big company and you are like, oh, I'm the product manager, you know, the mini CEO. I can do whatever I want. And then you're like, okay, guys, this is what we're gonna do. And then your leadership is like, oh, no, it doesn't really align with what we want to do. Plus, that looks really risky. Have you considered X, Y, Z, J, C, A? And like, so I went through many of that. Like, it's like when you are in the startup world, you get slapped like from investors a lot. When you are in a corporation, you get slapped by leaders. Not really slapped, but you know, like you get like questions like that are very hard to answer. So what I've done to kind of like mitigate that a little bit is I try to think in advance what are going to be the things for what they are going to say no. And I'm not the expert at that either. So normally what I do is I start talking to different people about the idea, and then I try to get their questions, and then I even sometimes, some of them I have a very good relationship, and I just ask, if you were XPP, do you think he's going to ask this question, or which question do you think he's going to ask? And then that's the way I kind of like try to kind of like piece it up together. So then when I go into presenting, then I know exactly, well, I don't know exactly, you don't always have an exactly, but you have an idea of like which questions might come. So then out of like maybe 10 compliance risk management questions, maybe you are able to do a home run for 3, and then maybe they're like, well, you're not so off.
I'll get back to you.
So
I'll get back to you with the answer.
Yeah.
Let's table that till next meeting.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why. And sometimes they just like, you can ask for this, and then in the back of your mind you can also have like a plan that's a little smaller. And then if they don't know you, they need to get to know you and see like, damn, this person really does the work well and has the right people around them to make it happen. And when they see that you are resourceful too, that I think that's something they value a lot. So you can get a better buy-in if you also kind of have like a plan B, do a smaller team, prove it successful, and then get it from there. And if it's not successful, you can also kind of like use the like, hey, this was a learning team, or you know, it's anyway. I don't know if I answered the question.
Yeah, you did actually. You did actually. I think the takeaway for me at least is, and I use this a lot, not only for compliance but for many things as well, is socialize the idea. Like democratizing information is very important in communicating. So for myself, every time that I'm going to present anything new regarding the product, I like to sit down and talk to people, especially the developers, because when I'm talking to them, I'm trying to understand, is this feasible? Is something that you can do? How long will it take for you to do it? And then I start going up. Sometimes when I feel that something is doable from the get-go, I just start from the top to bottom. And then when they get the idea, it's like, dude, you said 6 months, this might take 7, but let's make the effort just to get through. But I get what you're saying, and I do believe in socializing and democratizing information. So yeah, thank you.
Let me piggyback on that, because that's a really good point. So in the forming stage of human-centric design, how are you guys in Capital One using kind of the design side, this human contact, these bringing back these stories and these pain points for people with data, because that's kind of the frontier now. It's not just design, it's not just the human-centered side. How do you match up with data? How are you using that to really pull kind of like senior management and teams into the conversation and to socialize an idea? Like, what are you showing people? How are you engaging people in a lot of this outside-in perspective into a problem?
Yeah, I think it's pretty similar to what maybe many corporations do it, but like many corporations that are using human-centered design. But normally, you're going to have a research team, and there is going to be, actually, the problem at a big corporation sometimes is that there is too much research, so much research that you don't even know how to find the research for what you are trying to do. So it's important to partner with the research team to help you find the right information. And then normally, once I have some good information that I think I am into something, what I like to do is to get together with the design teams, normally with some UX designers, and I really love brainstorming with them. And then I bring in at least like 1 or 2 developers. And one thing I do with the developers is, even before I bring them in conversations like this, I train them in design thinking. So then they can get an idea, and then when they come in, they feel like, yes, let me practice like what I've learned, you know? Then you get them. So you gotta get your teams to kind of understand the style of how you wanna work, and then you know, get them together, and then you can get more insights and you potentially have something more real.
I guess that's a lot of, like, you were talking about creating this culture of innovation and this culture of sharing knowledge and everything. I guess that's just part of it, right? We're not in a world about designers anymore. Everyone has to be a designer, and developers, software engineers need to understand enough that they can participate. Can you talk a little bit more about these cross-functional teams creating this cross-functional collaboration? Because the product manager really sits in the middle of that, creating a more democratized conversation.
Yeah. Well, I still doing a little bit of experimentation about how to create this. Like, for example, one of the first times I did this, I created a meeting, and I call it, how did I call it? I call it creative destruction. And no one have ever made a meeting and just call it creative destruction. I made a sign in a kind of like a glass window door, and then a bunch of people show up. Like, I have to say, well, we cannot get more people here. So I don't know, there are many different ways to bring collaboration. That actually, it worked, but that meeting, I realized people were actually too excited. So then it was difficult to make things happen. And then, you know, in other occasions, I just invite people. And normally people like to get invited, you know, like, and if you're working in a project and sometimes it's already defined that, hey, this group, hey, you're going to be working on this, and this is the team that does this is the team that does that, this is the other team that does that, and you're all going to be working together. I make sure that I at least meet with one person on each of the teams. So then when I get there, I'm not just like a stranger, you know, like, kind of like at least know each other a little bit, and then we dig into the work. Like, everyone is an expert on their own areas. So I think it's more about really that human relationship building that it seems simple, but it can be complicated, especially at a big company.
That gets me to the other question that I made about how do you evangelize the company in regards to what your product vision is? How do you translate that vision into a message that everybody can understand, see their role within the company, how they can affect that product vision? At least on my own experience, not everybody sees the vision and they understand how it affects them or how they get involved with that vision. So I want to understand how did that work for you? How did you engage that, and how did you get over it?
Yeah, I think the first thing that we need to do is we need to look at the connection from the vision that you're having for your piece of work to how does it connect back into the bigger vision. And if you don't know what that vision is, you need to ask. And you need to ask your leadership. And honestly, that's just going to help you, because that's a good question. So yeah, I tie it up back. And then you can socialize it, because you can say, yes, we want to do this. And then you can say, and this relates to that. This is one of the things that you want to accomplish, and this relates to this, which is the bigger vision of what you want to accomplish. And this is how I think this is going to make us successful. So then you have a buy-in because it relates.
Yeah, because they understand how they play a key role and how the message translates. That's really cool.
It's kind of that nature of human-centric design. You have to be able to speak 3 languages, right? What's the feasibility, desirability, right? And viability of something. Does it make tech sense? Does it make business sense? Does it make customer sense, right?
Yeah. And I think, actually, to your point, I think human-centered design is important, because if you really understand that at the core, from your heart, you can also apply it to the relationship building stuff in your company. Because you gotta empathize with your leadership. They're also busy. They also have kids. They also have like, you know, their life and their
managing up.
And they all, everyone has a manager.
Yeah.
So whatever you do, you want to make sure that's going to be valuable to them, because if it is, they're going to be very proud. And then when you go and do demo to them, something that you accomplish, and they were already like, yes, then they're going to demo it to their managers, and that's how things keep going.
Yeah.
I think I've heard a few times, but it's possible.
Yeah. So how does Capital One kind of keep this spirit of human-centered design and cross-functional collaboration? Because, you know, normal corporations, you know, they can talk about it, but they don't necessarily do it, right? A lot of people resist, you know, people love their silos, right? Yeah, and people love their numbers. How does Capital One keep that alive? Because, I mean, you guys are, in banking, kind of the standard.
Yeah. I think that, well, we get trainings on it. Most people get trained, and then given that everyone understands it, it's just a second nature to operate like that. So when you say like, hey, I want to do this, I need some design resources, or like I need some research resources, you know, it's not going to be a no. They're going to help you get those resources. So it's just the company definitely embraces design thinking, and they want people to, you know, they have the resources to make people train on it. I have actually trained other people in design thinking inside of the company. And yeah, it's just like, in order to build that culture, you gotta just, you know, people need to know about it and practice it. And so that's okay. That's what they say we should do anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Dana, I kind of want to. Oh, go ahead.
No, my last one, and then I leave. Just one.
No problem.
No, we're loving your questions.
Just one more, and then I leave. I see Karen. She's always pumping me up. How do you see the role of product management evolving, and have you seen any change in yourself as a product manager throughout the years as you've gained experience? Have you seen that change that you're executing within the corporation?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And I think during the years I've been a product manager, I've seen an evolution on it. Like before, it was a very constrained, even though in the story where everyone was like, that's the mini CEO, but in reality at big companies, it's not. Before, you were like, the product manager was kind of like, get this done, here's the designs, just do it, and then just do it. And I think that this is evolving more, because, I mean, at least what I'm seeing is that leadership is bringing in other leadership resources who are product people, who have product experience. And what they are seeing is that when you have a product perspective, things get accomplished in a more humanistic way, of course, because that's how product managers operate anyways, right? So I think the way I see it evolving is, I think we're gonna keep having more, you know, a place on a seat on the table to have conversations about the strategic directions of the companies. And I hope that we just continue evolving in that direction. And also, like, on my own personal experience too, what I've learned is, like, I thought that just knowing about you know, design, tech, and data and business was enough. But in reality, I think that there is much more to that. And I think, for example, now that I'm working on credit policies, and before that I was working on SEO, I think all of these type of things makes you a better product manager, because it allows you to collaborate with even more people. So I think the more you work in different products and you allow yourself to kind of like move around and learn new products and new things, it allows you to get a better kind of like be more holistic about the way you approach product. Yeah,
at least from my side, and just to and I think what you've said is very, very key to understanding how one evolves. When I started in product management 8 years ago, it was very business driven. It was, we need to make this metric, we need to get this goal, this is the KPI, you need to reach this by end of year. And then you just forecast, reforecast, and then you just go through the other year. Now, what I've seen, and I think it was like 5 years ago or so, that it started to evolve into a more customer-centric thing. As in, you have to, when we went out to do research, we just contracted a company and we asked them, okay, ask this 10 questions. And we videotaped people and we saw the video and how they reacted and we had little notes. Now it's more of a go out there and interview people yourself. As a product manager, I'm constantly meeting with my clients, trying to understand how is the product serving them? How is it affecting them? Is it giving them better reach and knowledge of their business? Is it making their life easier? Is it making their customers' life easier? And in that way, I've seen how my way of making strategy and developing my roadmap has changed as well. Because it was more, before it was more of a, how can I make more money out of this? And now it's more, if I can make the product easier to consume and better to achieve goals for my client, I'm going to get more clients and more people to buy my product. So I've seen that change within not only the industry, because banking used to be that way, but now people need to see how the bank takes care of them and how we actually do products for them that actually care and look after them and not only see profit. So yeah,
it's that service and human-centric mindset. It's kind of like businesses are finally kind of getting it. Everything is a service, and you have to start outside in and be human-centric. Which leads me to kind of a question off of what Antom's saying, right? Put your finger up, right? Actually, both Antom and Tania, right? If you go towards your left, it's one answer goes to the right, the other. This is what it is. Is a product manager today more of a designer, business perspective, or a business manager bringing a design perspective? Where does product management lead today? Through the perspective of design or business?
I think it's more in the middle, I believe.
Yeah?
Yeah, I believe we need to have like a mixture. I'm going to let Tania answer first, but yeah.
Yeah, actually, I first went directly like this, and then I realized I'm going in that direction because of what you're doing now. But then I thought again, like, yeah, it's because I'm not doing like super, like I'm not building UIs anymore. Yeah. But in reality, I'm already moving in that direction. Then I thought, like, wait, in the future of like what we are building in like the next 6 months, we're gonna be building already the UI. So I'm actually a designer. So I think it goes both ways, as Antoine said. Okay. Yeah,
it's becoming this hybrid role. It's this very new role.
Yeah.
I was just reading something the other day about how people are transitioning their thinking from project management to product management, and there's this product mindset that is deeply ingrained in both business and in human-centric design. So it's pretty fun, and it kind of goes with everything that you were just kind of saying. So let me see. If either one of you have a question you want to jump in on.
Well, I actually was interested in tying it back to other tech guru talks that we've had in the past, and in thinking a little bit about how some of the same themes keep coming up, right? And one of those, which you alluded to, Tania, is culture, right? How do you create that culture at Capital One, at any company, from startup to big company, where it's valued to think about this product management in the way that you expressed it, and where that dialogue, because that collaboration and that dialogue is in practice a lot harder, right? Everybody wants to have dialogue, everybody wants to collaborate, but then there's business that's pulling you one way, and then there's numbers that you still have to meet. Like, that doesn't automatically go away. It's still underlying the entire business. And so how can you create from the get-go or even transform your culture if you're launching a new product and you've sort of been led astray in the past and you haven't innovated? How do you bring it back, and how do you make that an everyday thing that everybody understands and everybody speaks that same cultural language?
Yeah. Well, I have my hacky ways for that. One of them is when I, even before I start working on the product, I try to involve people that normally will never be involved on product. And by you kind of like asking them questions, what I've seen and actually what I have gotten is like some people are like, oh my God, that's what you do? Maybe I want to be a product person too. So what I think, I think involving other people, asking them questions, like you can see like the product really touches many different type of disciplines. So allow them to be part of the conversation. And then when you know, when people start talking about product, it's not so foreign to them because at least they know some product managers. And in my experience in doing this, you know, at my scale, I mean, when it's 50,000 people, there's so much you can reach. It's like right now, I've helped like probably like 5 different people from like developers to Scrum Masters, and now helping like another person who's like the admin for a super high up person who wants to become a product person. And it is because they kind of like were part of some of the conversations. This admin was just like setting up the meetings for me, and she'll be like, so what's the subject that you need the meeting for? And I'm like, oh, is this, we're gonna be talking about UX design in like banking, whatever, you know? And then she would be like, oh, that's interesting. I wanna learn more. And I'd be like, okay, no problem, let's go for coffee together. Honestly, I really don't know how scalable that is. But I think it is a lot about involving people and let them to see, then they do want to see the demos. Then they do, you know, then leadership do want to like make a video about it. And I had that experience actually, and like in my first year, we did this product innovation where we automated web development by 94%. So before it used to take like 2 months to make a little change, and I was like, this is impossible. And then in working with the developers, we make a change, and it was a big level of effort, but we were able to accomplish it. And then we were doing everything like from 2 months in like, we could do a release in a day. And that was so big that the SVP wanted to like make a video about it and things like that. So a lot of people learn about it, and it's like a product manager led this effort. So the more we as product people led efforts inside of the company, the more like people are going to start understanding what we do and how we bring people together.
Awesome. Hey, could you talk a little bit, you know, about prototyping with a lot of what you do, you know? So in human-centered design, you know, we love to prototype, right? Don't know? Try something, right? But not every big company really does prototyping. Talk to a little bit more just about how you guys kind of form up prototypes, and then how do you communicate the value of a prototype to management that tends to really just want kind of a yes or no, or just give me a success, you know?
Yeah. No, that's a difficult one too. I mean, I think the close partnership with designers is the key. And then when you go to talk to designers, don't go empty-handed. Even if you just know how to do weird sketches, do something for them to kind of like visualize. Designers are people who are pretty visual, and I'm lucky that I'm visual too. But I understand that, you know, like, even though not all of us have those skills to sketch or to kind of like present what you're trying to do, just make sure that you create low fidelity type of things. So like you're envisioning something. There is something you're seeing in your mind that's trying to show what you're trying to do. So don't, you know, feel free to sketch out what you see and present it. And I think that's it's a pretty low effort thing to do, but it's also difficult, but it will also help you communicate with the designers. And trust me, they're gonna take it and they're gonna construct it and they're gonna say, this is ugly, this shouldn't go here, this should go here because of the user experience or whatever. And they'll help you. So it goes back. Everything goes back to like the collaboration is important.
That thinking with your hands, not with your head.
Yeah, totally.
It kind of goes to wireframing too. You know, it's like how many people they jump right in some Adobe product in order to wireframe when it's just easy to pick up a pencil, describe something, show it to a developer, and have them tear at it, you know, and in 5 minutes, you know, not to do it that way, rather than the day you would have blown out your times. Yeah. So any other questions from anyone else sitting here? And Antoine, you're more than welcome to ask more questions because we're liking your questions.
I do have one more. In that process that you're like, for example, when you're talking about developing the idea, from the conception of the idea or the ideation or figuring out what you want to do, how do you sit down and translate that into a plan? How is that process for you? At least not you don't have to go step by step, but in the macro, like in a very high level aspect, how do you go from that, I think this will be good, into writing it down and maybe translating into that concept that you're going to present to the UX or the designer?
Yeah. I mean, I think the process is kind of like you sketch it out, and then you talk to the related teams. Sometimes it might be that you talk to the designer first, or it might be that you're just gonna have not necessarily like a design of the UI with your, let's say, maybe your manager. Sometimes your manager, at least at the company, the corporation, if your manager kind of likes in the direction you're going, you're gonna get a lot of support. So I think it's, like talk to, try to show people and speak in their language, not your language, like in their language, what you are intending to do. So if they are business analysts and they're super geeky and everything they see is numbers every day, sketching there what you think is best representation for them. And then this is difficult now with the virtual world, but normally what I used to do is that. And then I let them delete and then be like, I don't understand this, but do you mean that this goes like this and like this and like this? And I'm like, yes, exactly. So I think that's the way you start taking things into reality, because then people already are investing a little bit on it. And when people start investing on it and then they help you shape it, then they feel like, it's like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
A really low question. If as a product manager, one of your big jobs is aligning people and fostering collaboration, in our new virtual world, what methods, what tools are you using to bring people together in the room again?
Yeah, I'm struggling. I think I'm not as good on the phone, or we're all Puerto Ricans here, but like I have an accent, and there are different stuff that you're dealing with that are very difficult on video. Yeah. And then, for example, the team that I'm working on right now, they've never seen me in person.
Really?
And I need them to like me. And then I need them to see me as, as someone who can help bring things together. So, I mean, what I did is, like, I actually have, I don't have it right now, but I have a whiteboard, and I really use the whiteboard. And then that sets you kind of like as a person, like, kind of like a different person. And then I talk to them, and then I'll be like, okay, so this is what you mean. And they'll be like, no, this or that. And then that's what I'm doing now. I know that you can do with like Zoom, you can also do that. Yeah. It's not as effective, I think. Yeah. I still like that interaction with physical stuff. Yeah.
I found that in Mural, you can actually sketch, right? There's a little drawing thing, and you could do sketches. Yeah. And I found out recently there's an app for Mural for the iPad, the iPad Pro, and you can literally just sketch out whatever you want, and people can see it live. So that is going to become my new salvation. Yeah, you should talk to Angie. Actually, she uses Mural like a pro, right? So I guess we want to get one more question in here before we allow people to go and network. It's the very last thing that we do. But let me pull away from what we've been talking. Tell us a little bit about, I'm like super proud, like when I think about, man, there is someone from Puerto Rico at Capital One shaping some of the most incredible customer experiences, right? I mean, in Puerto Rico, in Latin America, we all get very excited when Puerto Ricans really kind of like go out to the big leagues and stuff like that. Tell us what it's been like for you to be, a mujer puertorriqueña. Yo entiendo que tú eres de Vieques, ¿no? Right? De Vieques. Sí, sí, right? Tell us what it means to you that you've made this jump and you're doing pretty amazing things.
Yeah. Yeah, and also I'm a lesbian, so I have all of them. So I'm part of a lot of books inside of the company, and I'm a dark Latino. So yeah, I have them, all of them, so I can be in every single team. I'm actually part of the a Latino team, and I'm one of the leaders. And we have a 900 members in our team now, and we have a leadership of like 15 people. So it's really good to have that. Kind of like that community around you. So I grew up in Vieques. In Vieques, you have like Puerto Ricans and you have people from different parts of the world. So even from my childhood, I learned that, it doesn't really matter how I look like or who I decide to love, or that I'm Latina or gringa, like I was lucky to grow in a place where that's accepted. And I really felt very accepted my whole life. And then when I moved into the US, I realized that not everyone accepts me. But I think that what I do is I keep operating on like, I don't care about that. And then people get to know you from like who you really are. And then I think that brings a different feeling to it. And then there is always something you can connect with people on, even if it's like you both bike. And then my bicycle is called Bala Azul. I don't know. It could be anything. So I always try to find a connection, even with the people that I feel like, oh man, I really have no team to relate with this person. I always try to find something that I can relate them with.
That's wonderful. Well, Tania, thank you so much. I was, when Sophia told me, find me some of the greatest, most interesting people in tech who could really kind of help raise the level here in Puerto Rico and in Latin America of what we're doing. I instantly thought of you, right? Ever since we met in DC, I am personally proud to just see what you do. Like when I see Capital One do something really cool, because I actually have a Capital One account, I always think, oh, Tania did that, right? So, thank you so much for sharing what you shared today. I think this is all really good. I think a lot of you know that Angie kicked me out of Seriously Creative. I'm actually in tech now, and I see all this incredible tech talent that's in Puerto Rico, all these young people coming out of the UP, coming out of Interamericana, coming out of Politecnica, and I look at them and I'm like, man, it only takes a little bit of extra knowledge to raise our to compete with almost anyone. And when people like you come and share that information, it takes us another step there. Like every time the UP beats MIT in something, we all cheer. I think we need to do that around our tech industry, and people like you are helping us do it. So I'd love to invite everyone who's on this call, take off your mute, and let's give Tania a big round of applause. And if you're over there in the chat, write down your applause, right?
Thank you.
So then turn it over to Sophia then.
Thank you so much, Tania. I really echo everything that Dana has said. I learned so much today, and it's incredible that you've gotten to where you've gotten and that you've been able to share this with all of us today. So thank you again for being here. I'm sure that you'll get lots of questions and emails and people trying to link up with you in LinkedIn. And that's awesome. And again, for everybody that's watching, thank you for tuning in, for joining us for another edition of Tech Guru Talks. We do have 2 more before the year's end, and they're going to be great as well. So we hope to see you there. Thank you again to Seriously Creative for moderating and always being an awesome partner. And thank you to EverTech for making all of this possible. So have a great night.
Thank you,
Network.
guys.
All right, guys, remember the networking is open. So you might as well, go and meet someone. That's part of the deal. You come here and they say that we learn better by showing someone else what impressed us, what stood out. So go ahead and share. go to networking. It works very much just like this, like a little TV, but it does like a speed date. So you meet someone new. And go ahead and push it at least twice, okay? So thank you so much.
We're a better community when we're a community together. So just go meet some. Maybe you're going to meet someone in your own company, and that's great. But who knows who you'll meet over there? Just hit the network and be surprised.
Thank you, Antoine, for all your wonderful questions.
Yay.
Yeah, great questions. Thanks, everyone. See you in the networking.